Welcome to the Reality Revolution. I am your host, Brian Scott. Today, we're going to glory in the amazing writings of Robert Collier. This from one of his best books, The Secret of the Ages, the world's greatest discovery. We sure have discovered quite a bit in our current history, some amazing discoveries, but there's one discovery over all the others that is the world's greatest. You may not realize it, but this discovery will change your life if it already hasn't. Listen to what Robert Collier has to say about the world's greatest discovery. You can do as much as you think you can, but you'll never accomplish more if you're afraid of yourself, young man. There's little for you in store, for failure comes from the inside first. It's there if we only knew it. And you can win, though you face the worst, if you feel that you're going to do it. Edgar A. Guest. What, in your opinion, is the most significant discovery of this modern age? The finding of dinosaur eggs on the plains of Mongolia, laid, so scientists assert, some 10 million years ago. The unearthing of the Tomb of Tutankh-Amen, with its matchless specimens of a bygone civilization. The radioactive time clock by which Professor Lane of Tufts College estimates the age of the Earth at 1,250,000,000 years. Wireless, the airplane. Man-made thunderbolts. No, not any of these. The really significant thing about them is that from all this vast research, from the study of all these bygone ages, men are for the first time beginning to get an understanding of that life principle, which somehow, some way, was brought to this earth thousands or millions of years ago. They are beginning to get an inkling of the infinite power it puts in their hands, to glimpse the untold possibilities it opens up. This is the greatest discovery of modern times, that every man can call upon this life principle at will, that it is as much the servant of his mind as was ever Aladdin's fabled genie-of-the-lamp of old, that he has but to understand it and work in harmony with it to get from it anything he may need, health or happiness, riches or success. To realize the truth of this, you have but to go back for a moment to the beginning of things. In the beginning, it matters not whether you believe that mankind dates back to the primitive ape man of 500,000 years ago, or sprang full grown from the mind of the Creator. In either event, there had to be a first cause, a creator. Some power had to bring to this earth the first germ of life. And the creation is no less wonderful if it started with the lowliest form of plant life and worked up through countless ages into the highest product of today's civilization than if the whole were created in 6 days. In the beginning, this earth was just a fire mist. 6,000 or a billion years ago, what does it matter which? The one thing that does matter is that sometime, some way, there came to this planet the germ of life, the life principle that animates all nature, plant, animal, and man. If we accept the scientist's version of it, the first form in which life appeared upon Earth was the humble algae, a jelly-like mass that floated upon the waters. This, according to the scientists, was the beginning, the dawn of life upon the Earth. Next came the first bit of animal life, the lowly amoeba, a sort of jellyfish consisting of a single cell without vertebra, and with very little else to distinguish it from the water round about. But it had life, the first bit of animal life, and from that life, according to the scientist, we could trace everything we have and are today. All the millions of forms and shapes and varieties of plants and animals that have appeared are but different manifestations of life. Formed to meet differing conditions for millions of years, this life germ was threatened by every kind of danger, from floods, from earthquakes, from droughts, from desert heat, from glacial cold, from volcanic eruptions, but to it each new danger was merely an incentive to finding a new resource, to putting forth life in some new shape. To meet one set of needs, it formed the dinosaur, to meet another, the butterfly. Long before it worked up to man, we see its unlimited resourcefulness shown in 1,000 ways. To escape danger in the water, it sought land. Pursued on land, it took to the air. To breathe in the sea, it developed gills. Stranded on land, it perfected lungs. To meet one kind of danger, it grew a shell. For another, a sting. To protect itself from glacial cold, it grew fur. In temperate climates, hair. Subject to alternate heat and cold, it produced feathers. But ever from the beginning, it showed its power to meet every changing condition, to answer every creature need. Had it been possible to kill this life idea, it would have perished ages ago, when fire and flood, drought and famine followed each other in quick succession. But obstacles, misfortunes, cataclysms were to it merely new opportunities to assert its power. In fact, it required obstacles to awaken it, to show its energy and resource. The great reptiles, the monster beasts of antiquity passed on, but the life principle stayed, changing as each age changed, always developing and always improving. Whatever power it was that brought this life idea to the earth, it came endowed with unlimited resource, unlimited energy, unlimited life. No other force can defeat it. No obstacle can hold it back. All through the history of life and mankind, you can see its directing intelligence. Call it nature. Call it providence. Call it what you will, rising to meet every need of life. The purpose of existence. No one can follow it down through the ages without realizing that the whole purpose of existence is growth. Life is dynamic, not static. It is ever moving forward, not standing still. The one unpardonable sin of nature is to stand still, to stagnate. The Gigantosaurus that was over 100 feet long and as big as a house, the Tyrannosaurus that had the strength of a locomotive and was the last word in frightfulness, the pterodactyl or flying dragon, all the giant monsters of prehistoric ages are gone. They ceased to serve a useful purpose. They did not know how to meet the changing conditions. They stood still, stagnated, while the life around them passed them by. Egypt and Persia, Greece and Rome, all the great empires of antiquity perished when they ceased to grow. China built a wall about her and stood still for 1,000 years. Today she is the football of the powers. In all nature, to cease to grow is to perish. It is for men and women who are not ready to stand still, who refuse to cease to grow, that this is written. It will give you a clear understanding of your own potentialities, show you how to work with it, and take advantage of the infinite energy all about you. The terror of the man at the crossways not knowing which road to take will be no terror to you. Your future is for your own making. For the only law of infinite energy is the law of supply. The life principle is your principle to survive, to win through, and to triumphantly surmount all obstacles has been its everyday practice since the beginning of time. It is no less resourceful now than ever it was. You have but to supply the urge to work in harmony with it, to get from it anything you may need. For if this life principle is so strong in the lowest forms of animal life that it can develop a shell or a poison to meet a need, if it can teach the bird to circle and dart, to balance and fly, if it can grow a new limb on a spider to replace a lost one, how much more can it do for you? A reasoning, rational being with a mind able to work with this life principle, with an energy and an initiative to urge it on. The evidence of this is all about you. Take up some violent form of exercise, rowing, tennis, and swimming, riding. In the beginning, your muscles are weak, easily tired, but keep on for a few days. The life principle promptly strengthens them, toughens them to meet their new need. Do rough manual labor and what happens? The skin of your hands becomes tender, blisters and hurts. Keep it up and does the skin all wear off? On the contrary, the life principle provides extra thickness, extra toughness, calluses, we call them, to meet your need. All through your daily life, you will find this life principle steadily at work. Embrace it. Work with it. Take it to yourself, and there is nothing you cannot do. The mere fact that you have obstacles to overcome is in your favor, for when there is nothing to be done, when things run along too smoothly, this life principle seems to sleep. It is when you need it, when you call upon it urgently, that it is most on the job. It differs from luck in this, that fortune is a fickle jade that smiles most often on those who need her least. Stake your last penny on the turn of a card. Have nothing between you and ruin but the spin of a wheel or the speed of a horse, and it's 1,000 to 1 luck will desert you. But it is just the opposite with the life principle. As long as things run smoothly, as long as life flows along like a song, this life principle seems to slumber, secure in the knowledge that your affairs can take care of themselves. But let things start going wrong, let ruin and disgrace stare you in the face. Then is the time this life principle will assert itself if you but give it a chance. The open sesame of life. There is a Napoleonic feeling of power that ensures success in the knowledge that this invincible life principle is behind your every act, knowing that you have working with you a force which never yet has failed in anything it has undertaken. You can go ahead in the confident knowledge that it will not fail in your case either. The ingenuity which overcame every obstacle in making you what you are is not likely to fall short when you have immediate need for it. It is the reserve strength of the athlete, the second wind of the runner, the power that in moments of great stress or excitement you unconsciously call upon to do the deeds which you ever after look upon as superhuman. But they are in no ways superhuman. They are merely beyond the capacity of your conscious self. Ally your conscious self with that sleeping giant within you. Rouse him daily to the task, and those superhuman deeds will become your ordinary, everyday accomplishments. W.L. Kane of Oakland, Oregon writes, "I know that there is such a power. For I once saw 2 boys, 16 and 18 years of age, lift a great log off their brother, who had been caught under it. The next day the same 2 boys, with another man and me, tried to lift the end of the log, but could not even budge it. How was it that the 2 boys could do at need what the 4 were unable to do later on, when the need had passed? Because they never stopped to question whether or not it could be done. They saw only the urgent need. They concentrated all their thought, all their energy on the one thing, never doubting, never fearing. And the genie, which is in all of us, waiting only for such a call, answered their summons and gave them the strength not of 2 men, but of 10. It matters not whether you're a banker or lawyer, businessman or clerk, whether you are the custodian of millions or have to struggle for your daily bread. This life principle makes no distinction between rich and poor, high and low. The greater your need, the more readily will it respond to your call. Wherever there is an unusual task, wherever there is poverty or hardship or sickness or despair, there is this servant of your mind, ready and willing to help, asking only that you call upon him. And not only is it ready and willing, but it is always able to help. Its ingenuity and resource are without limit. It is mind, it is thought. It is the telepathy that carries messages without the spoken or written word. It is the sixth sense that warns you of unseen dangers, no matter how stupendous and complicated, nor how simple your problem may be. The solution of it is somewhere in mind, in thought. And since the solution does exist, this mental giant can find it for you. It can know, and it can do every right thing. Whatever it is necessary for you to know, whatever it is necessary for you to do, you can know and you can do if you will but seek the help of this genie of your mind and work with it in the right way. It matters not how straight the gate, how charged with punishment the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. Henley. First came the Stone Age, when life was for the strong of arm or the fleet of foot. Then there was the Iron Age, and while life was more precious, still the strong lorded it over the weak. Later came the Golden Age, and riches took the place of strength. But the poor found little choice between the slave drivers' whips of olden days and the grim weapons of poverty and starvation. Now we are entering a new age, the mental age, when every man can be his own master, when poverty and circumstance no longer hold power, and the lowliest creature in the land can win a place side by side with the highest. To those who do not know the resources of mind, these will sound like rash statements, but science proves beyond question that in the wellsprings of every man's mind are unplumbed depths, undiscovered deposits of energy, wisdom, and ability. Sound these depths, bring these treasures to the surface, and you gain an astounding wealth of new power. From the rude catamaran of the savages to the giant liners of today, carrying their thousands from continent to continent is but a step in the development of mind. From the lowly caveman cowering in his burrow in fear of lightning or fire or water, to the engineer of today making servants of all the forces of nature is but a measure of difference in mental development. Man without reasoning mind would be as the monkeys are, prey of any creature fast enough and strong enough to pull him to pieces, at the mercy of wind and weather, a poor timid creature living for the moment only, fearful of every shadow. Through his superior mind he learned to make fire to keep himself warm, weapons with which to defend himself from the savage creatures round about, habitations to protect himself from the elements. Through mind he conquered the forces of nature. Through mind he has made machinery to do the work of millions of horses and billions of hands. What he will do next, no man knows, for man is just beginning to awaken to his own powers. He is just getting an inkling of the unfathomed riches buried deep in his own mind. Like the gold seekers of 49, he has panned the surface gravel for the gold swept down by the streams. Now he is starting to dig deeper to the pure vein beneath. We bemoan the loss of our forests. We worry over our dwindling resources of coal and oil. We decry the waste in our factories. But the greatest waste of all, we pay no attention to, the waste of our own potential mind power. Professor William James, the famous Harvard psychologist, estimated that the average man used only 10% of his mental power. He has unlimited power, yet he uses but a tithe of it. Unlimited wealth all about him, and he doesn't know how to take hold of it. With godlike power slumbering within him, he is content to continue in his daily grind, eating, sleeping, working, plodding through an existence little more eventful than the animals, while all of nature, all of life calls upon him to awaken, to bestir himself. The power to be what you want to be, to get what you desire, to accomplish whatever you are striving for abides within you. It rests with you only to bring it forth and put it to work. Of course, you must know how to do that. But before you can learn how to use it, you must realize that you possess this power. So our first objective is to get acquainted with this power. For psychologists and metaphysicians the world over are agreed in this, that mind is all that counts. You can be whatever you make up your mind to be. You need not be sick. You need not be unhappy. You need not be poor. You need not be unsuccessful. You are not a mere clod. You are not a beast of burden, doomed to spend your days in unremitting labor in return for food and housing. You are one of the lords of the earth with unlimited potentialities. Within you is a power which, properly grasped and directed, can lift you out of the rut of mediocrity and place you among the elect of the earth. The lawyers, the writers, the statesmen, the big businessmen, the doers and the thinkers. It rests with you only to learn to use this power, which is yours. This mind that can do all things. Your body is for all practical purposes merely a machine which the mind uses. This mind is usually thought of as consciousness, but the conscious part of your mind is in fact the very smallest part of it. 90% of your mental life is subconscious. So when you make active use of the only conscious part of your mind, you are using but a fraction of your real ability. You are running on a low gear. And the reason why more people do not achieve success in life is because so many of them are content to run on low gear all their lives on surface energy. If these same people would only throw into the fight the resistless force of their subconscious minds, they would be amazed at their undreamed of capacity for winning success. Conscious and subconscious are, of course, integral parts of the one mind. But for convenience sake, let us divide your mind into three parts: the conscious mind, the subconscious mind, and the infinite, subliminal, or universal mind. The conscious mind. When you say I see, I hear, I smell, I touch, it is your conscious mind that is saying this, for it is the force governing the five physical senses. It is the phase of mind with which you feel and reason, the phase of mind with which everyone is familiar. It is the mind with which you do business. It controls to a great extent all your voluntary muscles. It discriminates between right and wrong, wise and foolish. It is the generalissimo in charge of all your mental forces. It can plan ahead and get things done as it plans, or it can drift along haphazardly, a creature of impulse at the mercy of events, a mere bit of flotsam in the current of life. For it is only through your conscious mind that you can reach the subconscious and the universal mind. Your conscious mind is the porter at the door, the watchman at the gate. It is to the conscious mind that the subconscious looks for all its impressions. It is on it that the subconscious mind must depend for the teamwork necessary to get successful results. You wouldn't expect much from an army, no matter how fine its soldiers, whose general never planned ahead, who distrusted his own ability and that of his men, and who spent all his time worrying about the enemy instead of planning how he might conquer them. You wouldn't look for good scores from a ball team whose pitcher was at odds with the catcher. In the same way, you can't expect results from the subconscious when your conscious mind is full of fear or worry, or when it does not know what it wants. The one most important province of your conscious mind is to center your thoughts on the thing you want, and to shut the door on every suggestion of fear or worry or disease. If you once gain the ability to do that, nothing else is impossible to you. For the subconscious mind does not reason inductively. It takes the thoughts you send into it and works them out to their logical conclusion. Send to it thoughts of health and strength, and it will work out health and strength in your body. Let suggestions of disease, fear of sickness or accident penetrate to it, either through your own thoughts or the talk of those around you, and you are very likely to see the manifestation of disease working out in yourself. Your mind is master of your body. It directs and controls every function of your body. Your body is in effect a little universe in itself, and mind is its radiating center, the sun that gives light and life to all your system and around which the whole revolves. And your conscious thought is master of this sun center. As Emile Coué puts it, the conscious can put the subconscious mind over the hurdles. The subconscious mind. Can you tell me how much water, how much salt, how much of each different element there should be in your blood to maintain its proper specific gravity if you are leading an ordinary sedentary life? How much and how quickly these proportions must be changed if you play a fast game of tennis, or run for your car, or chop wood, or indulge in any other violent exercise? Do you know how much water you should drink to neutralize the excess salt in salt fish? How much you lose through perspiration? Do you know how much water, how much salt, how much of each different element in your food should be absorbed into your blood each day to maintain perfect health? No. Well, it need not worry you. Neither does anyone else. Not even the greatest physicists and chemists and mathematicians, but your subconscious mind knows. And it doesn't have to stop to figure it out. It does it almost automatically. It is one of those lightning calculators, and this is but one of the thousands of such jobs it performs every hour of the day. The greatest mathematicians in the land, the most renowned chemists, could never do in a year's time the abstruse problems which your subconscious mind solves every minute. And it doesn't matter whether you ever studied mathematics or chemistry or any other of the sciences. From the moment of your birth, your subconscious mind solves all these problems for you. While you're struggling along with the 3 R's, it is doing problems that would leave your teachers aghast. It supervises all the intricate processes of digestion, of assimilation, of elimination, and all the glandular secretions that would tax the knowledge of all the chemists in all the laboratories in the land. It planned and built your body from infancy on up. It repairs it. It operates it. It has almost unlimited power, not merely for putting you and keeping you in perfect health, but for acquiring all the good things of life. Ignorance of this power is the sole reason for all the failures in this world. If you would intelligently turn over to this wonderful power all your business and personal affairs, in the same way that you turn over to it the mechanism of your body, no goal would be too great for you to strive for. Dr. G.O.C. Pfizer sums up the power of the subconscious mind very well in the following. The subconscious mind is a distinct entity. It occupies the whole human body, and when not opposed in any way, it has absolute control over all the functions, conditions, and sensations of the body. While the objective conscious mind has control over all of our voluntary functions and motions, the subconscious mind controls all of the silent, involuntary, and vegetative functions, nutrition, waste, all secretions and excretions, the action of the heart and the circulation of the blood, the lungs and the respiration or breathing, and all cell life. Cell changes and development are positively under the complete control of the subconscious mind. This was the only mind animal had ever before the evolution of the brain, and it could not, nor can it yet, reason inductively, but its power of deductive reasoning is perfect. And more, it can see without the use of physical eyes. It perceives by intuition. It has the power to communicate with others without the aid of ordinary physical means. It can read the thoughts of others. It receives intelligence and transmits it to people at a distance. Distance offers no resistance against the successful missions of the subconscious mind. It never dies. We call this the soul mind. It is the living soul. In Practical Psychology and Sex Life by David Bush, Dr. Wim Bigler is quoted as going even further to quote him, "It is this mind that carries on the work of assimilation and upbuilding whilst we sleep. It reveals to us things that the conscious mind has no conception of until the consummation has occurred. It can communicate with other minds without the ordinary physical means. It gets glimpses of things that ordinary sight does not behold. It makes God's presence an actual, realizable fact and keeps the personality in peace and quietness. It warns of approaching danger. It approves or disapproves of a course of conduct and conversation. It carries out all the best things which are given to it, providing the conscious mind does not intercept and change the course of its manifestation. It heals the body and keeps it in health, if it is at all encouraged. It is, in short, the most powerful force in life, and when properly directed, the most beneficent. But like a live electric wire, its destructive force is equally great. It can be either your servant or your master. It can bring to you evil or good. The Reverend William T. Walsh, in a new book just published, explains the idea very clearly. The subconscious part in us is called the subjective mind because it does not decide and command. It is a subject rather than a ruler. Its nature is to do what it is told, or what really in your heart of hearts you desire. The subconscious mind directs all the vital processes of your body. You do not think consciously about breathing every time you take a breath. You do not have to reason, decide, or command. The subconscious mind sees to that. You have not been at all conscious that you have been breathing while you've been listening to this. So it is within the mind and the circulation of blood. The heart is a muscle like the muscle of your arm. It has no power to move itself or to direct its action. Only mind, only something that can think can direct our muscles, including the heart. You are not conscious that you are commanding your heart to beat. The subconscious mind attends to that, and so it is with the assimilation of food, the building and repairing of the body. In fact, all the vital processes are looked after by the subconscious mind. Man lives and moves and has his being in this great subconscious mind. It supplies the intuition that so often carries a woman straight to a point that may require hours of cumbersome reasoning for a man to reach. Even in an ordinary everyday affair, you often draw upon its wonderful wisdom, but you do it in an accidental sort of way without realizing what you're doing. Consider the case of Blind Tom. Probably you've heard or read of him. You know that he could listen to a piece of music for the first time and go immediately to a piano and reproduce it. People call that abnormal, but as a matter of fact, he was in this respect more normal than any of us. We are abnormal because we cannot do it. Or consider the case of these lightning calculators of whom one reads now and then. It may be a boy 7 or 8 years old, but you can ask him to divide 7,649,437.265 by 3 126.2568, and he'll give you the result in less time than it would take you to put the numbers down on a piece of paper. You call him phenomenal, yet you ought to be able to do the same yourself. Your subconscious mind can. Dr. Hudson, in his book The Law of Psychic Phenomena, tells of numerous such prodigies. Here are just a few. Of mathematical prodigies, there has been upwards of a score whose calculations may have surpassed in rapidity and accuracy those of the greatest educated mathematicians. These prodigies have done their greatest feats while but children from 3 to 10 years old. In no case had these boys any idea how they performed their calculations, and some of them would converse upon other subjects while doing the sum. 2 of these boys became men of eminence, while some of them showed but a low degree of objective intelligence. Whately spoke of his own gift in the following terms. There was certainly something peculiar in my calculating faculty. It began to show itself at between 5 and 6, and lasted about 3 years. I soon got to do the most difficult sums always in my head, for I knew nothing of figures beyond numeration. I did these sums much quicker than anyone could upon paper, and I never remember committing the smallest error. When I went to school, at which time the passion wore off, I was a perfect dunce at ciphering, and I have continued so ever since. Professor Stafford became an astronomer at the age of 10. He worked correctly a multiplication sum whose answer consisted of 36 figures. Later in life, he could perform no such feats. Benjamin Hall Blyth, at the age of 6, asked his father at what hour he was born. He was told that he was born at 4 o'clock. Looking at the clock to see the present time, he informed his father of the number of seconds he had lived. His father made the calculation. He said to Benjamin, "You are wrong, 172,000 seconds." The boy answered, "Oh, Papa, you have left out 2 days for the leap years 1820 and 1824, which was the case. Then there is the celebrated case of Zara Colburn, of whom Dr. Schofield writes, Zara Colburn could instantaneously tell the square root of 106,929 as 327, and the cube root of 2,680,336 125 as 645. Before the question of the number of minutes in 48 years could be written, he said 25,228,810. He immediately gave the factors of 247,483 as 941 and 263, which are the only two, and being asked then for those of 36,083, answered none. It is a prime number. He could not tell how the answer came into his mind. He could not, on paper, do simple multiplication or division. The time will come when, as H.G. Wells envisioned in his Men Like God, schools and teachers will no longer be necessary except to show us how to get in touch with the infinite knowledge our subconscious minds possess from infancy. The smartest man in the world. Our subconscious minds are vast magnets with power to draw from universal mind, unlimited knowledge, unlimited power, unlimited riches. Considered from the standpoint of its activities, says Warren Hilton in Applied Psychology, the subconscious is that department of mind which, on the one hand, directs the vital operations of the body, and on the other, conserves, subject to the call of interest and attention, all ideas and complexes not at the moment active in consciousness. Observe then the possibility that lies before you. On the one hand, if you can control your mind and its subconscious activities, you can regulate the operation of your bodily function and can thus assure yourself of bodily efficiency and free yourself of functional disease. On the other hand, if you can determine just what ideas shall be brought forth from the subconscious into consciousness, you can thus select the materials out of which will be woven your conscious judgments, your decisions, and your emotional attitudes. To achieve control of your mind is then to attain health, success, and happiness. Few understand or appreciate, however, the vast storehouse of knowledge and power of the subconscious mind can be drawn upon at will. Now and then, through intense concentration or very active desire, we do accidentally penetrate to the realm of the subconscious and register our thought upon it. Such thoughts are almost invariably realized. The trouble is that as often as not, it is our negative thoughts, our fears, that penetrate, and these are realized just as surely as the positive thoughts. What you must manage to do is learn to communicate only such thoughts as you wish to see realized to your subconscious mind, for it is exceedingly amenable to suggestion. You have heard of the man who was always bragging of his fine health, and upon whom some of his friends decided to play a trick. The first one he met one morning commented upon how badly he looked and asked if he weren't feeling well. Then all the others, as they saw him, made similar remarks. By noontime the man had come to believe them, and before the end of the day he was really ill. There was a rather glaring example, but similar things are going on every day with all of us. We eat something that someone else tells us isn't good for us, and in a little while we think we feel a little pain. Before we know it, we have indigestion, and when the chances are that if we knew nothing about the supposed indigestible properties of the food, we could eat it for the rest of our days and never feel any ill effects. Let some new disease be discovered and the symptoms described in the daily paper, hundreds will come down with it at once. They are like the man who read a medical encyclopedia and ended up by concluding he had everything but housemaid's knee. Patent medicine advertisers realize this power of suggestion and cash in upon it. Read one of their ads. If you don't think you have everything the matter with you that their nostrums are supposed to cure, you are the exception and not the rule. That is the negative side of it. Emile Coué based his system on the positive side, which you suggest to your subconscious mind, that whatever ills it thinks you have are getting better. And it is good psychology at that. Properly carried out will work wonders, but there are better methods, and I hope to be able to show them to you before we reach the end of the book. Suffice it now to say that your subconscious mind is exceedingly wise and powerful, that it knows many things that is not in books. When properly used, it has infallible judgment, unfailing power. It never sleeps, never tires. Your conscious mind may slumber, it may be rendered impotent by anesthetics or a sudden blow, but your subconscious mind works on, keeping your heart and lungs, your arteries and glands ever on the job. Under ordinary conditions, it attends faithfully to its duties and leaves your conscious mind to direct the outer life of the body. But let the conscious mind meet some situation with which it is unable to cope, and if it will only call upon the subconscious, that powerful genie will respond immediately to its need. You have heard of people who have been through great danger tell how when death stared them in the face and there seemed nothing they could do, things went black before them. And when they came to, the danger was past. In the moment of need, their subconscious mind pushed the conscious out of the way. The while it met and overcame the danger, impelled by the subconscious mind, their bodies could do things absolutely impossible to their ordinary conscious selves. For the power of the subconscious mind is unlimited. Whatever it is necessary for you to do in any right cause, it can give you the strength and the ability to do. Whatever of good you may desire, it can bring to you. The kingdom of heaven is within you. The universal mind. Have you ever dug up a potato vine and seen the potatoes clustering underneath? How much of intelligence do you suppose one of those potatoes has? Do you think it knows anything about chemistry or geology? Can it figure out how to gather carbon gas from the atmosphere, water and all the necessary kinds of nutriment from the earth round about to manufacture into sugar and starch and alcohol? No chemist can do it. How do you suppose the potato knows? Of course, it doesn't. It has no sense, yet it does all these things. It builds the starch into cells, the cells into roots and vines and leaves, and into more potatoes. Just old Mother Nature, you'll say, but old Mother Nature must have a remarkable intelligence if she can figure out all these things that no human scientist has ever been able to figure out. There must be an all-pervading intelligence behind Mother Nature, the intelligence that first brought life to this planet, the intelligence that evolved every form of plant and animal, that holds the winds in its grasp, that is all-wise, all-powerful. The potato is but one small manifestation of this intelligence. The various forms of plant life, of animals, of man, all are mere cogs in the great scheme of things. But with this difference, that man is an active part of the universal mind, that he partakes of its creative wisdom and power, and that by working in harmony with the universal mind, he can do anything, have anything, be anything. There is within you, within everyone, this mighty resistless force with which you can perform undertakings that will dazzle your reason, stagger your imagination. There constantly resides within you a mind that is all-wise, all-powerful, a mind that is entirely apart from the mind which you consciously use in your everyday affairs, yet which is one with it. Your subconscious mind partakes of this wisdom and power, and it is through your subconscious mind that you can draw upon it in the attainment of anything you may desire. When you can intelligently reach your subconscious mind, you can be in communication with the universal mind. Remember this, the universal mind is omnipotent. And since the subconscious mind is part of the universal mind, there is no limit to the things which it can do when it is given the power to act. Given any desire that is in harmony with the universal mind, and you have but to hold that desire in your thought to attract it from the invisible domain, the things you need to satisfy it. For mind does its building solely by the power of thought. Its creations take form according to its thought. Its first requisite is a mental image, and your desire, held with unswerving purpose, will form that mental image. An understanding of this principle explains the power of prayer. The results of prayer are not brought about by some special dispensation of providence. God is not a finite being to be cajoled or flattered into doing as you desire. But when you pray earnestly, you form a mental image of the thing that you desire, and you hold it strongly in your thought. Then the universal intelligence, which is your intelligence, omnipotent mind, begins to work with and for you, and that is what brings about the manifestation that you desire. The universal mind is all around you. It is all pervading as the air you breathe. It encompasses you with as little trouble as the water in the sea encompasses the fish. Yet it is just as thoroughly conscious of you as the water would be were it intelligent of every creature within it. Are not 2 sparrows sold for a farthing, and one of them shall not fall on the ground without your Father, but the very hairs of your head are all numbered. Fear ye not, therefore, ye are of more value than many sparrows. It seems hard to believe that a mind busied with the immensities of the universe can consider such trivial affairs as our own when we are but one of the billions of forms of life which come into existence. Yet consider again the fish into the sea. It is no trouble for the sea to encompass them. It is no more trouble for the universal mind to encompass us. Its power, its thought, is as much at our disposal as the sunshine and the wind and the rain. Few of us take advantage to the full of these great forces. Fewer still take advantage of the power of the universal mind. If you have any lack, if you are prey to poverty or disease, it is because you do not believe or do not understand the power that is yours. It is not a question of the universal giving to you. It offers everything to everyone. There is no partiality. Ho, everyone that thirsteth, come ye to the waters. You have only to take. Whosoever will, let him take of the water of life freely. With all thy getting, get understanding, said Solomon. And if you will but get understanding, everything else will be added unto you. To bring you to a realization of your indwelling and unused power, to teach you simple, direct methods of drawing upon it, is the beginning and the end of this course. This is the world's greatest discovery, as Robert Collier described it. This life principle that pervades into all things, that creates life and is also a mind. Every single bit of life that Robert Collier talks about here is life with a mind, and that mind is connected. This universal mind, which is a part of the subconscious, is so powerful and is able to do so many things. That is the world's greatest discovery. Have you discovered this power? Sometimes the thing that we do is we get caught up in our own lives, in our own little moments. Sometimes it's good to go back and listen or read authors like Robert Collier that step back and look at the big picture. It is so amazing the way that life has flourished in every form and adjusted and evolved. The great point of this is that we are always evolving, and if you don't evolve, you stagnate and fall away, as we see in nature with animals that are no longer needed. We are striving, we are moving, and the life principle is pushing us to evolve and to transform and to move to higher levels of consciousness. This life is you. It is in you. You are this life. It is so incredible to be alive, to be aware of this life, to be conscious of it, to be able to talk to someone else that's also alive. It's amazing. And we are evolving, and we are in a moment of transformation. And the universal mind is opening up to us on greater levels than ever before. You can find all episodes of The Reality Revolution at therealityrevolution.com. Check out my new art website. We got t-shirts and merch and all kinds of cool art that is available. I send them out with written affirmations. They are sigils designed to transform whatever it is that you need to transform. You can find it all at www.newearth.art. I'm sending all the love from my heart to all that are listening, hoping you're having a fantastic day, and welcome to the Reality Revolution.